Hello, my name is Olivier Demezy from the Center of Excellence EMEA. I'm going to tell you a little bit about BW for HANA. Before we go into what BW for HANA is, let me introduce you to SAP NetWeaver BW, which was the first version of the BW application from SAP. SAP NetWeaver BW requires a database, any database. So here what we do is we store the data in that database, and this database is just the storing area where everything from the application perspective is done at the SAP NetWeaver BW layer. If we focus a little bit of that layer, we will see that it contains three main areas, or perform three main functions. One being the data management. That means we transform the data, we do the corrections, we do the match between different sources of data. Another is the planning, where we perform the allocation of budgets to different profit centers, for instance. And the third layer is the analytic manager, or the OLAP engine, where we do the slice and dice. We build the cubes, we do the drilling, etc., etc. So here we can see that we have a lot of data transferred between the database and the SAP NetWeaver BW layer. And that's the main bottleneck here. What SAP has done to solve this problem is we have created the BW Accelerator. BW Accelerator is the first step into the in-memory evolution. So we have to replicate data, some data, into the accelerator. The accelerator contains indexes of data that is contained in the database. So we have a synchronization mechanism, we have time latency, because this has to be generated and it's not really on the fly. On the other hand, the performance from the NetWeaver BW system is much better if we use the accelerator. The next logical evolution happened in 2011 when we launched SAP HANA. SAP HANA has the capability to store the data in memory, so the data is very close to the calculation area and therefore has lots of good performance. What we do here, we simply exchange the database with HANA, and the NetWeaver BW system resides on top and is basically the same. Of course, there are some little functions more in order to address the database, that is HANA, but this application layer is compatible with any other database underneath. If we look at how it's inside the application layer, we can see that we have pushed down the calculation to the HANA database. Therefore, we can be much more precise, much more performant at the database layer. And obviously, the connection between the database and the application layer needs not to be as big as it used to be earlier on the previous version. So now what we see as the next evolution, and this is what we see on SAP BW 7.3, is that there are some functions or some features that are not related to SAP HANA. So we don't need to use those if we have HANA underneath. But we have them in the code because this 7.3 release can run on any other type of database. So what we do in the 7.5 is that we exclude basically, or remove these functions that are not necessary for SAP HANA underneath. So what we can see here is that we will have a version of 7.5 that is specifically for HANA, and another one that is for any other type of database. When we do this, obviously the version for HANA is much leaner than the other version for any database. And finally, we arrive at BW for HANA, where this application has been designed exclusively for HANA. So everything that is not HANA related has just been removed from the application. So the application layer itself is much leaner. The performance is much better because we are integrated 100% to the SAP HANA underlying database, and obviously we have new code and new capabilities that we have added to the server or to the application server. So we see here the logical evolution of the BW system, but we need to understand that BW for HANA is using a new user interface, has new business content, deals with the multi-temperature data management that we can find technically in the SAP HANA database, can run on the private cloud on AWS, which means Amazon Web Services, as well as on HAC, which is the HANA Enterprise Cloud from SAP. We can do virtual data warehousing, meaning we can use views at the SAP HANA layer to connect to any other type of source that we need to connect. So you see much more capabilities in the BW for HANA with a leaner code, with much better performance, and therefore it's a new product, it's a new code line, and this is, I think, important. So having said that very quickly on the whiteboarding, I would like to stop here, and thank you for listening, and I will see you soon again.